Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here are some of the top stories we have lined up for you today. The federal government announces what it calls generational changes to the criminal code to better protect women from sexual violence. Some Lethbridge residents wonder if a recall petition targeting Conservative MLA Nathan Neudorf is real or a stalling tactic. And 'tis the season. We'll show you some of these sparkly signs of Christmas from around the world.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Jeanette Roche.
Thanks for joining us. The federal government has announced sweeping changes to the criminal code that will substantially change the charges that can be laid in connection with sexual and intimate partner violence. Justice Minister Sean Fraser says murders driven by hate or that occur alongside controlling or coercive behavior of an intimate partner, sexual violence or exploitation would now be classified as first-degree murder.
What's important when it comes to coercive control? We have an opportunity to have the justice system intervene, not just after someone has been killed, but we have an opportunity to have the justice system intervene before a relationship becomes violent and before violence becomes fatal. It is not enough to simply punish bad actors on the back end of a tragedy, but to do everything we can to prevent violence from taking place in the first instance. In addition to these changes that tackle matters of gender-based and intimate partner violence, there are new sexual offences that have been established, including making good on the campaign commitment to criminalize the non-consensual distribution of intimate images, including specifically those that are created through the use of artificial intelligence.
Fraser says the Protection Victims Act will also better protect children from sextortion that happens inside and outside of Canada. The legislation would also strengthen mandatory minimum penalties of imprisonment for predators who possess or access child sexual abuse and exploitation material, including restoring at least a dozen mandatory minimum penalties of imprisonment that were previously struck down by the courts. There was some political gamesmanship today in the House of Commons as MPs debated a Conservative motion aimed at pinning down the Liberals on whether they support building a pipeline to the BC coast. The motion, put forward by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and based on the wording of the MOU between Alberta and Ottawa, states that MPs support construction of a pipeline to carry Alberta bitumen to the coast, along with an appropriate amendment to the legislation that bans most oil tankers from the area off the northern coast of British Columbia while respecting the duty to consult Indigenous peoples.
Not only do we acknowledge the obligation to consult with our First Peoples, we put that right in the motion.
It's there.
It's right there. It's right there, Mark.
It is.
We put it right there so that he could vote for the words that he put in the agreement. But let's be honest, he never planned to honor the agreement. He whispered quietly to the Keep It in the Ground Liberal caucus, don't worry, there will never be a pipeline. We'll delay it until after the election, and then, God forbid, if we win, he says he would kill it altogether. Why can't he say one thing to all Canadians and champion the pipeline with us today?
Mr. Speaker, the MOU between the Government of Canada and the Province of Alberta is about a pipeline. It is about carbon capture and storage. It is about interties with the clean electricity grid of British Columbia. It's about artificial intelligence data centers. It is about an industrial carbon price that works. It is about methane regulations that get methane down 75% so that we can have the lowest emission, low risk, lowest cost oil in the world and build this country.
As expected, the Liberals, with the help of the Bloc Québécois, voted down the motion. Energy and Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson called Poilievre's motion a, quote, cheap political stunt and a cynical ploy to divide the Liberal caucus. These are nervous times for anyone who has planned a sunny vacation during Christmas time with Air Transat. As expected, the airline has canceled at least half a dozen flights today so far. The leisure airline is winding down operations ahead of a possible work stoppage by some 750 pilots that could begin tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, travelers at Pearson Airport in Toronto are trying to stay positive.
If I get stuck in Mexico, that's okay with me. But I'm sure they'll figure it out. We were supposed to come back on Saturday.
Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll know. I guess we find out on Wednesday or Thursday if we're going to make it home or not. And go from there. We have lots of animals at home that need us, so it'll definitely change our plans for sure and what we're going to do.
Trip might get canceled in the first place. Still the concern if we get down there and don't get home or we're delayed a few days, but it sounds like they're working on a deal. That's what they said, I think, yesterday anyway, so we're optimistic. They're concerned about their Christmas concert at school. It may be extra money. Having to explain to work would probably have some concerns, but I mean, kind of under our we don't know what the plan is.
I did have a look at passenger rights just to ensure I knew kind of what we were allowed to do and what Airline had to do. So I feel a little bit more confident as long as Air Transat does kind of keep up their end of the bargain in terms of what they have to do.
The end of last week, our travel agent called us on the way down yesterday and suggested maybe we should cancel, and we didn't have to, and we said no, we're not worried about time. We're both retired, so if we get a couple more days, we do. I'd rather be coming back and worried than heading out.
Transit AT says the planes affected today were scheduled to fly out of Canada to Mexico and the Dominican Republic. Thousands of Canadians fly Air Transat each day to mainly sunny destinations. The family of a 15-year-old boy recently shot and killed by police is suing the officers and the city of Longueuil, Quebec, for more than $2 million. Members of the family of Nuran Rezaei says police used unreasonable and disproportionate force in September when they opened fire on the teenager in the off-island suburb of Montreal. Rezaei was shot dead after officers responded to a 911 call about a group of armed young people in a residential neighborhood.
Police officers are no longer protectors. Every time I see a police officer, I see them as a potential killer. They killed my child for nothing.
As his mother says, our home has lost its light. Nuran's light was extinguished too soon, but it must illuminate our collective conscience. This death cannot be dismissed as a mere incident. It must be a turning point. We have a duty to act so that no young person ever loses their life under such unjustifiable circumstances again.
Quebec's independent police watchdog has since revealed the only gun seized at the scene belonged to the officer who shot the teen. Some Lethbridge residents have become somewhat skeptical about a recall petition targeting United Conservative MLA Nathan Neudorf. The petition application recently approved by Elections Alberta was put forward by a gentleman named Ryan Tanner. But people wanting to support the petition and help gather names say their inquiries have been met with silence. Jeff Milner is one such skeptic who initially tried to create a similar recall petition. He says he and others have been ghosted after offering to help.
We reached out to this group. We were sort of excited, like, well, if someone else is already in, we can work with them. You know, we've got all these things lined up. We can share some of the resources that we had, website, potentially. We just offered it, and we haven't heard back from this Ryan Tanner. It's been a bit of a mystery because this process has been set up for ordinary citizens to be able to hold their leaders to account, and we just think that it's fair that people should have a chance, if they are upset, to sign the petition. And if there's someone that's running it that isn't making that happen, it doesn't seem fair.
Well, Elections Alberta says it has no phone number for Tanner. Bridge City News has called his business in Coaldale. So far, he has not responded. A collision involving a semi-trailer truck and a pedestrian has left a 43-year-old McGrath woman dead. On Monday, Raymond McGrath RCMP were dispatched to an incident on 1st Street West in the town of McGrath, which is about 40 kilometers south of Lethbridge. When police arrived, fire and EMS were already on the scene. RCMP say their initial investigation revealed the pedestrian was walking alongside of the semi and stepped in front of the truck as the driver pulled away. The semi then hit the pedestrian. Unfortunately, the 43-year-old female resident of McGrath was declared deceased at the scene. Her name has not been released, and Mounties are continuing to investigate. Brooks RCMP are investigating multiple occurrences of graffiti sprayed across the city showing white supremacist and anti-immigrant messaging. RCMP say between October 1st and November 26th, they have responded to 9 separate incidents of hate-motivated graffiti sprayed on various city of Brooks-owned infrastructure. Police say acts like these have no place in the city, and they are seeking public assistance in identifying the suspect or suspects involved and reporting any hate-motivated crimes they may have witnessed. With the colder temperatures causing bodies of water in our city to freeze over, Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services is putting out a PSA to emphasize safety around lakes, ponds, and rivers. Residents are reminded if they see a victim or a pet on the ice where it's deemed unsafe, not to go rescue them, but rather call 911 right away. You can also throw a rope, branch, or something that floats to assist before the water rescue team arrives.
Some of the first big rules is the river is never safe to go on. It's just too unpredictable, too many variables, and so we ask that the public stay off the ice all winter. And then same with there's multiple storm and overflow ponds in Lethbridge here that are also never safe, deemed safe by the city to go on. There is 4 places that in Lethbridge that we can skate and recreate on. We have Henderson, Nicholas Sharon, and then there's 2 ponds here at Legacy Park. Just make sure that you know whether the city's deemed it safe or not safe. We usually put on a course once a year for our members where we train about 20 to 30 members on the department to be tech level ice rescues, so they can do rescues at this lake and still body water. We train every winter to make sure we know what we're doing when we come and help you guys out on the ice. So be safe and have fun, but be safe is first.
It looks cold. Ice conditions at the designated sites are checked weekly, and conditions are updated accordingly on the city's website. The city is also asking for dogs to be kept on leashes that are nearby frozen bodies of water. With rising food prices this past year, the big traditional holiday meals have become less affordable. So what are your options? Well, Lethbridge Polytechnic is offering tips on how to prepare delicious menus on a budget while using local ingredients. Chef Mark Deiser, manager of food services and culinary at the Center for Trades and Technologies, says that planning ahead is also a key to saving money.
Modifying your recipes to make sure that they're using local products. So again, in-season stuff here, roots, vegetables, things like that, carrots, broccolis, turnips, rutabagas, squash. It's all great right now. So maybe we don't have to have all the ham and turkey that we need. We can have some more vegetarian type dishes if you like. Don't just walk into the grocery store and just think that I'll grab this, this, and this. Make yourself a menu, make yourself a plan. We call that mise en place, and that's a big thing we teach our students. Everything's ready before we go. As soon as you've done your dinner, try and get it cooled down as fast as you can. Keep them covered. Save a lot of your trimmings and your bones and stuff. Make some stock, because the next couple days, there'll be a great soup coming your way, or stews or things. The price has increased a lot. We're talking there's almost 11% next year. So we're going to have to tighten up even more. So it's going to be a little bit tougher. Just kind of stretching it if you can, but then plan for our leftovers, right?
I think it's very important to use the entire product. There's always going to be leftovers. Using those bones, making things like stews, soups. It's like the meal that keeps giving. Christmas, Thanksgiving, all those meals. You get so much product left over, you have to know how to utilize those ingredients and extend them. So the easiest way, I think, is to have everybody bring something. That is your biggest cost savings there. Plan it out and make sure everybody knows what they're bringing, and then it reduces costs for everybody involved, because I think Christmas is more about who's around the table than what's on the table.
Some good advice there. This coming Saturday night, a Christmas tradition will roll into Lethbridge. The CPKC holiday train will arrive just after 7 p.m. It's the 27th year the train has been crisscrossing across the country. There is also a holiday train south of the border. CPKC spokesman Terry Acuna says in total, the Canadian and U.S. trains will visit 196 cities, offering live entertainment while supporting local food banks.
For this show in Lethbridge, it's a free 30-minute performance to watch the Bare Naked Ladies, and all we're asking is you to bring a non-perishable food item to help support those in need, as we've come to recognize food insecurity is definitely on the rise during the holiday season, and this is just a great way to give back and support your friends and neighbors.
Sounds like so much fun. Since its inception in 1999, the holiday train has raised more than $26.1 million and 5.4 million pounds of food for community food banks. Pretty good. And before we go to break, we want to take you on a quick visual trip around the world, looking at all the different Christmas decorations and preparations that are being made. Landmarks are lit, markets are open, shop windows are decorated, and even the T-Rex at London's Natural History Museum is dressed up for the season.
Vesele Vánoce.
Oh, so fun and so beautiful. I love that Santa on the jet ski. I wonder who decorated that big old dinosaur too. Royal LePage is forecasting an uptick in home prices next year as it says the Canadian housing market is primed for a reset. The real estate firm projects the national aggregate home price will increase 1% annually to about $823,000 in the fourth quarter of 2026. Single-family detached home prices are forecast to rise 2%, and condominium prices are expected to fall 2.5%. Home prices are expected to rise in most major markets, with the exception of Canada's two most expensive cities, Vancouver and Toronto. The battle continues between media giant Netflix and the smaller Paramount empire over Warner Bros. Discovery. Paramount's hostile takeover bid places CNN and its sister cable networks into a kind of a management limbo. If Paramount's bid is successful, it will open the possibility of CNN and CBS News being combined. With more on this story is this report from the Associated Press.
The battle to purchase Warner Bros. Discovery has gone hostile. Here's what to know. Warner Bros. Discovery, the iconic movie studio, is also the company behind HBO, CNN, and the Harry Potter franchise. Any company that purchases it will have the potential to reshape the US entertainment landscape. Warner originally had a friendly agreement to sell itself to Netflix. The streaming service offered $72 billion in cash and stock, excluding debt. But it didn't bid on the Warner-owned networks such as CNN and Discovery. Paramount, which owns a Hollywood studio and major TV networks like CBS and MTV, made several offers, rejected in favour of Netflix's bid. Now Paramount has gone hostile, going straight to Warner shareholders with a bid of $74.4 billion. And it wants the cable networks that Netflix didn't. The Paramount proposal includes help from investors, such as US President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and funds controlled by the governments of Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Regulatory approval awaits any deal that gets made. Regulators could be concerned about the massive size of a combined Netflix-Warner merger, as Netflix is already the world's largest streaming service. But regulators could also be concerned about Paramount. Hollywood already has so few studios left that a merger of two of its most famous could raise red flags.
It will be interesting to see who wins this tug of war over Warner Bros. And now let's take a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 74 to 31,244. The Dow is down 179 to 47,560. The S&P 500 was down 6 to 6,840, and the Nasdaq was up 30 to 23,576. West Texas Intermediate Oil was down 47 cents to 58.41 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 33 cents to 4.58 US. Gold was up 17.05 to 42.0721 US an ounce, and silver was up 2.53 to 60.66 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $7.56 per bushel, barley is at $5.99, canola is at $13.95, and corn is at $7.44 per bushel. Live cattle were down 50 cents to $226.82. Feeder cattle January contract was down 15 cents to $335.50, and lean hogs were up 20 cents to $82.50. The Canadian dollar was down slightly over the past 24 hours and currently sits at 72.20 US.
Recapping one of our top stories, the federal government has introduced sweeping changes to the criminal code, taking aim at the problem of femicide, as well as other hateful and controlling behavior toward women. The Protecting Victims Act would treat murders driven by control, hate, sexual violence, or exploitation as a first degree. Justice Minister Sean Fraser says the bill also would outlaw engaging in a pattern of coercive or controlling conduct against an intimate partner. Right now, there is nothing in the criminal code prohibiting such conduct. Although the Memorandum of Understanding was only signed between Ottawa and Alberta just 2 weeks ago, the Liberal government is rejecting a Conservative motion which takes its wording directly from the MOU. Brian Lilly, Toronto Sun political columnist, will explain more on this and other important Canadian political issues. That is coming up next. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our stories and interviews.